Greetings, sisters. Here is a card that came in from one of our members, along with a very nice donation check. We are so grateful. We continue to be a museum and looking for our next place. We must pay for our sacreds and our treasures, our artifacts, to be in professional storage. So we are very grateful for the continued support as we find our next place. So this very generous woman, a longtime member, writes, I'm in my 50s and have written a great, well, I think it's great, book to help women. I cannot seem to get it published. Been trying for many years. I just feel unsuccessful overall. I'm afraid that I am going to die, never having given my gift of wisdom, never having manifested success in my writing and my work, never having had any impact. What do you think? Well, here's what I think. As usual, I completely get it. When women send me questions or just talk to me in person about their lives, I always seem to think, yeah, I've been there. I know that feeling. This is a very common feeling for women, especially those in their queen and wise woman years. Queen years are 45 to 65. Wise woman years are 65 and up. I had a good friend say something similar to me on the phone just yesterday. We were talking, and she told me that she feels like she has, quote, and these were her words, never accomplished anything important in her life, and that she thought that probably she never would. And this is from a woman who raised 3 children alone with no help, and who served as a mortgage broker for 40 years, helping countless people get houses, many difficult cases. She creatively figured out how to help people change their lives and make the most important purchase of their life, a house, change their financial life. And she thinks she's, quote, had no impact or not done anything of worth or had any accomplishment in her life. That is how little women understand their own worth. And I think it is interesting that men have set up all the current standards in this patriarchy about what success is. They have literally rigged the game. So it is easier for them to be successful, and actually not many percentage-wise of them even are. And then we women compare ourselves to them using their standard. We haven't been a guest on Oprah. We're a failure. We have only 20 views of our video on YouTube. We're nobody. We're having no impact. Well, let's talk about this. May I suggest something that maybe you didn't consider? May I suggest that you journal on exactly what would happen if you never did publish your book, if you never were, quote, successful, as you are defining it by how our culture defines it. What would happen if you never did give your gift of wisdom through your writing or your work? What would happen? Really, exactly, what would happen? Would that information just die with you? No, it wouldn't. It did not come from you anyway. Khalil Gibran wrote that, I think the quote is, your children come through you, but not by you. So your book, well, let's take the book that you mentioned as an example for the moment. Your book that you think is original information, fresh wisdom for women, did it really come from you personally? Is it yours? Does it belong to you? I would say no. It came through you. It is not yours. It does not really ultimately belong to you. You are the caretaker of that information for the time being. You live in a house. You think you own that house, but you don't really, not ultimately. Someday you'll die and somebody else will move into your house. It's not really yours. You're just using it for a time. You are the caretaker of the house right now. You share it with others in the ways you think best. But the beauty that is house belongs to the universe, not to you. You're just passing through. Likewise, the information, the wisdom of your book is something that you are caretaking. You are holding for now. It's not something that you own. You share it with others in the ways you think best, which for you means writing a book. You feel that somehow this wisdom will die with you if it doesn't get published, but I assure you that it will not. If it does not find full expression in you in your lifetime, this one lifetime, then that information will simply be expressed through another woman sometime soon in another way. So we can relax knowing that what we are holding can never really be lost. There's no desperate rush to manifest it. It'll come about when it wants to come about. So why do we feel this way? That yearning of accomplishment, that our words be heard, our book be published, our work recognized, our writing, our book, our wisdom, our accomplishment, our. The answer lies partly in that word, our, or mine, my book, my accomplishment, my success. Maybe it is our ego that is yearning to be recognized. It is our ego that wants to have our words be heard. It is our ego that is unhappy when our book remains unpublished, when no one cares. But this yearning state is a form of energetic grabbing. The more you yearn for something, the more you hold it tightly, and maybe the more it squeezes through your fingers and drops away. Imagine if you had a palm full of Jell-O and you wanted to keep it, so you held onto it so tightly. What would happen? It would slip through your fingers. It would be squeezed away. It would fall away. And this is what happens when we hold on too tightly to anything in our lives. The idea of our success, our spouse, our children, our youth, anything we think of as ours and we want to keep or claim as ours. Maybe nothing is ours. We're just using it for a time. So perhaps don't call it your book anymore. Just call it the book. Stop grabbing onto the idea that it must be published within a certain time frame. 20 years ago, I really wanted to be part of a goddess temple. I really wanted to have a goddess temple in my neighborhood. And I was going to something called an intention circle, where 20 or so people met every Saturday to sit in circle and to speak their intention, to put the paper with their intention into a little tray in the center of the circle on the floor, and then everyone would chant after each reading of each intention by the person. They would chant, "It is done, it is done, it is done." And I went to that circle for almost a year, every single Saturday. I did not miss a single Saturday. And every single Saturday, without fail, I would speak the same exact intention. I would put a paper with the same words every single Saturday into the circle. I joyfully manifest a goddess temple where women can come together in circle to share women's and goddess spirituality. And I had the very same intention every single week, and people got really bored with it because most people came in each week with a new intention, a different intention. And just as an aside, one of my favorite teachers, Sadhguru, says what seems kind of obvious: if you want to get to a particular place, you have to keep heading in the same direction. If every morning you set off in a different direction, you'll never get there. Even if you walk a long time, if you go in the same direction, you'll eventually get there because it's a globe. So I believe this, and I just doggedly kept to my single intention over and over again. And people kind of gently laughed at me and mocked me because it wasn't coming true month after month after month. But I kept on. And then finally, the last week of the year, after 51 weeks of intention setting, I was just about to state my intention to the circle. I was just about to put that same intention paper into the pot in the center, and all of a sudden, something in me just let go, just released. I think I had been grabbing onto it so tightly that I was working against myself. It was slipping through my fingers. What are you doing? Don't bite me. So something in me just let go. And to the amazement of the group, I said something different from what I'd been saying for 51 weeks. I said, it just came to me in the moment. I said, my intention is simply to be with what is and to remain in the present moment. Well, you could have knocked everybody over with a feather at my big turnaround, and some people were really upset. "Oh, Ava, you've given up. Don't give up." I didn't give up. I still wanted a goddess temple. I still had that desire and that intention. I simply let go for a moment of all my tight holding, of my grabbing. And I remember how I felt. I was not resigned to failure. I was not giving up. I was simply more at peace with what actually was in the now moment. And wouldn't you know it, of course, after looking for a year for a place, not finding anything within my budget, that very next week, after I let go, I found the perfect place for us, and I signed the lease on the spot. And that January, we started working on what would become the goddess temple. And people said to me, "Oh, Ava, you finally got your temple." And I remember I wouldn't let anyone call it my temple or Ava's temple because I knew that it was not mine. It belonged to all of us. It belonged to the one there is only one of. It belonged to all consciousness. And it had simply finally manifested in physical form for me personally when I stopped all my grabbing. It came through me, but not from me. We are in the season of autumn, and autumn is a time that expresses two metaphysical principles. One, the principle of harvest, and two, the principle of surrender. The harvest, the farm harvest of food, is brought in for the winter. That's the harvest. And the leaves let go of the trees and float, and they surrender to what is. So, two things: bringing in, yes, the goodness, and at the same time, letting go of the old. That's what autumn is for me. The harvest is the benefit of all your hard work returning to you for you to enjoy. And most women do not really bring their harvest in. They work all their lives and they give and they give and they give and they give away their harvest too. It's not entirely their fault. It's a lack of awareness, but it's also the rigged system that takes their harvest. As I said in a recent video, patriarchy is theft. I learned that from teacher and author Susanna Budapest. So they give away their harvest and everyone else benefits except them. They find themselves in their middle years with not very much to show for all their hard work. A lot of mature and elder women I know are really struggling, and they've worked hard all their lives. How can that be? Because the system is rigged against them. It's not personally their fault. They have worked hard and contributed. So women really need to learn how to truly harvest, how to reap the rewards of their own hard work, how to circumvent the patriarchal system that attempts to deny them that does deny them that. And speaking of harvest, do you know what the first thing is that you have to do in order to bring in your harvest? Well, first you have to define it and claim it. And you have to understand clearly what is your particular harvest. What does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? What does that taste like? What is your harvest? You worked for something. What did you work for? What did you expect would happen when your labors were done, for this year, for your lifetime, whenever? What did you expect would happen? What is your harvest? Be really clear on what your harvest is. For me, part of my harvest was financial security and free time for myself. When I never thought of myself as retiring, because I will always contribute something, but I thought by this time in my life I would have amassed a certain amount of money that would leave me entirely financially free. And so to a certain extent that has happened, but for many women it has not, and it's not their fault. So first you have to claim it. You have to define it and claim it. You have to say, that is mine. That belongs to me. This specifically is the fruit of my labor. But then what you really have to do in order to bring your harvest in is you have to stop working. And I mean that in more of an energetic or metaphysical sense. Not that you have to quit your job necessarily, but to bring in the harvest, to enjoy your harvest, you have to energetically stop working. And this is, what is it that you'd like? This is one of the underlying metaphysical reasons why women do not reap the harvest of their work, because they actually never stop working. They're in the overgiving mother, which is the imbalanced aspect of the mother archetype, the one who works, the one who labors, the one who gives to others. That's only one of the 4 maiden, mother, queen, and wise woman archetypes that we talk of in the Queen teachings. So they stay too long in the mother and tip over into the overgiving mother and have no boundaries from their queen. They never stop working. Even after they quit their jobs or retire from their jobs, they still continue to provide an immense amount of work to their families. The harvest can't come in when you are taking up all the energetic space with continued work. You have to let go. You have to make a quiet space for the harvest. The basket must be empty in order for you to fill it with something new. If you're dragging around a full basket full of all the stuff you think, all the opinions about why things are right or wrong, all the work you think you're supposed to do to make it all happen, your basket is full. A woman headed for the field to bring in her harvest does not drag a basket full of old shit with her. No, she brings an empty basket ready to be filled with something new. She's let go of the old stuff that was in the basket to make space, which is the second of the principles of autumn, that of letting go or surrender. When I finally surrendered my yearning for a temple, it showed up easily and gracefully. I got the temple that I wanted. If you surrender your idea of how you are supposed to have a published book by now, if you just let go of that, like a leaf letting go of the tree because it feels better, it feels more peaceful, it feels right. If you surrender the idea, not give up, but just surrender the idea that you are supposed to be at a certain level of success right now, if you just let yourself float for a bit with no expectations, no grabbiness, no yearning for something that is not at the present moment happening, what might occur? How might the Jell-O maybe stay with you for you to enjoy instead of slipping through your fingers? And let's face it, everything about this whole year, all the lockdowns and all the closing of things, the stopping of things, I believe, along with many others, that this is Mother Nature, this is Goddess encouraging us to let go of certain things, to empty our basket of old stuff that we've been holding on to so tightly, so something new can show up. So let's not resist that. What would it look like to empty your basket energetically right now? What would that look like? Yesterday, a student interviewed me and asked about suffering and how to reduce it. And we had a great conversation, and I shared my ideas. I told her one way to reduce suffering was to stop resisting what is. And I am absolutely not saying that you must like or approve of what is happening around you right now. I'm just saying that if you just stop for a moment, if you just stop resisting what is right now, and you take a calm, clear look at what is, something magical has space to happen. Your basket is empty for just a moment, making some space. So your book at this moment is not published. At this moment, okay, relax into that reality. Empty your basket of opinions about that. Stop grabbing with your ideas of how things are supposed to be this way or that way. Your question implies that only when you publish your book, when you accomplish something, will you have some kind of worth or have an impact, as you say. Let's remember a truth that I believe ancient peoples knew very well, and that we in this patriarchal system have forgotten about ourselves as women, because generations of dominators have erased this. The truth is that as a woman, you actually don't have to do anything in order to be valuable. You don't have to accomplish anything to be of great value to humanity. Woman is the conduit of Shakti from the unseen world to the seen world, from the spirit world to the world of matter, and that's why they call it matter, same root as mother, mater, matter, because all matter comes from mother, from the female with the womb, from the great cosmic mother who births everything into the light, and all human life comes from the human mother, birthing into this reality from the unseen world. The original shamanic act is pregnancy and giving birth. Everything comes from the female with the womb. So it doesn't matter whether you've created a child or not, your womb or your womb space, if you've lost your womb to surgery, you still have your etheric womb. Your womb is the cauldron, the pot, the chalice of Shakti, and just you walking around the planet is you constantly emanating that Shakti, that life energy to everything around you, no matter your age. You're already highly accomplished. You have already given every day of your female life tons of goodness to the world around you. You do not have to publish a book. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Sister, you are the book. Are you alive? You are already published. You're already giving your gift of wisdom every day simply by the way you live, the way you speak, the way you share with others, the way you hug your children or your grandmother or your dog or your cat, who stopped bothering me now. Are you female? Then you are already successful just being alive. So maybe walk around like you're wearing a t-shirt that says, I am a successful Shakti distributor. And just assume that your very presence is your primary work. And of course, we all have work that we care very much about. But just start with this. Start with knowing that you don't have to do anything more, particularly this fall in the time of letting go. You don't have to do anything more to have an impact. You are impacting the world just with your very presence in the physical body. So start with that. And maybe, just maybe, the rest will follow more easily for you. So this autumn, let's stop resisting. Let's stop dragging around a basket full of old stuff. Let's trust that wisdom that wants to come forth does so in due time. Let's let go of the idea that there is some standard of success that we are supposed to achieve. Let's surrender any opinions about how accomplished we're supposed to be by this time in our lives. Let's just relax completely into what is right now. Remove your opinion of whether you'd like it or not. Just let go of that. Hey, just look at what is. And maybe that emptiness can make a beautiful space for us to go into the coming winter, which is a time of deep, deep rest. And who knows what spring will bring for us. Blessed be.